Modern supercars are expertly crafted, magnificent machines with the purpose of achieving incredible speeds and acceleration on roads or the great racing tracks of the world. But that doesn't mean they can't have a few other tricks up their sleeves. You can take them out of their comfort zone, place them in an environment they were not designed to cope with, and still they can shine. Like taking a Stradivarius violin and using it to play heavy metal. It wasn't what it was designed to do, but it can still be amazing at it. Taking a supercar designed to drive, corner and grip at extreme speeds and putting it out on a surface so slippery it's hard to even walk, let alone drive, is much the same. It might not have been the reason it was built, but my word, it can be fun. Now, I'm lucky enough to have driven a large variety of amazing cars, but one omission in my experience has always been Lamborghini. For one reason or another, I've just never had the chance to drive one. So, to rectify that, I've come here to the Italian Alps to drive Lamborghini Huracans and this, the new Lamborghini Aventador S. But instead of road driving or even out on track, we've come here to do something a little bit different. We're here to attend Lamborghini's Winter Academy. Lamborghini offers several driving experiences all over the world that allow enthusiasts of the Raging Bull to get expert training from experienced Lamborghini racing drivers and push the cars to the extremes for which they were designed. Here at Livigno though, by contrast, you get the opportunity to take a Lamborghini and do this with it. My first ever experience in a Lamborghini was to be the so-called 007 maneuver, where the aim is to spin the car 360 degrees and continue driving in the direction you are pointing. This would give me a feel for how much power would be needed to break traction, and indeed what would be needed to get it back. Immediately it was clear that with this much power on demand and the traction control switched off, it was not going to take much to start the car spinning in a good way. What was going to be harder was to stop it from spinning in a bad way. To help with that further, we spent time out on the skid pan to learn how to sustain a drift. Finally, on an area laid out for a figure of 8 drift, there was an opportunity to get a feel for how to transition between drifts. Each exercise independently was fun to do, and it gave me an incredible sense of achievement as I incrementally improved. But together, they formed the toolset I would need to negotiate the entire ice track later. Elevation changes, sequences of tight turns, a long sweeping bend and a reverse entry hairpin together formed the track on which we'd be spending the remainder of the day, all building up to the night drive. Now, of course, this isn't necessarily what Lamborghinis were designed to do, but isn't it fun just to do it for the sake of? Today is just about sideways fun, and this frozen landscape of the Italian Alps is the perfect backdrop for these raging bulls. Now, immediately from getting in these cars, we're using the all-wheel drive versions of the Huracan and the Aventador, and it really shows just how much control you can have in an all-wheel drive drifting situation out on ice. Now, for someone who is absolutely in love with Lamborghinis from a very young age, the sheer pleasure of actually getting behind the wheel of a modern one is fantastic. It's something I've been waiting to do for so long. The thrill of getting in a car with this kind of pedigree. Lamborghinis to me are still up there with the best looking cars you can buy, and really it's the lottery car of choice for me. There's something about this that is making my inner 10-year-old extremely happy, and the fact that I'm getting to do it out here on the ice might not necessarily be giving me the purest Lamborghini experience, but it is giving me one hell of a fun one. Initially coming out here, kicking the back out on some of the early exercises, going on the track to first try out what it's like to lose traction yet still be in control of the car, has been an absolute thrill ride. There are significant differences between the Huracan and the Aventador. Jumping from one into the other is not quite as straightforward as I thought it would be. They have completely different driving characteristics, almost as big a difference as lift off oversteer and power on oversteer, but my God, is that a first world problem to have. It took a complete recalibration of everything I just learned in the Huracan to get to the same level of control in the Aventador. The longer wheelbase, even when it's offset by the all-wheel steering system, and the weight difference all contributed to a completely different driving experience. Switching back and forward between these two cars really helped give a perspective on how the proportions of a car can define the handling characteristics. Where a simple lift-off mid-turn would cause the Huracan to break traction, the Aventador needed a Scandinavian flick and a bootload of throttle to do the same. The learning curve was steep, but every time you held a long drift or transitioned successfully between two turns, an overwhelming sense of satisfaction would flood your body. It became addictive. Every time I left the car, all I wanted to do was get back in and head out for more laps. To help analyze your driving, onboard cameras record your laps, and between sessions the expert trainers break your laps down turn by turn using the onboard telemetry to help you iron out the flaws in your technique and arm you with personalized advice before you head back out onto the ice. This was an invaluable experience that really helped push you towards being the best ice driver you could possibly be. With the day drawing to a close, the climax of the event approached. Floodlights lit part of the circuits and the headlights of the raging bulls did the rest. It was time to put all the lessons of the day into practice for one last session. It might not have been a high-speed run out on the Autobahn or hot laps of a circuit, but getting to drift these magnificent machines in the cold night air was as fun as it looks and more. Quite simply, my first day of driving Lamborghinis was one of the most fun driving experiences I have ever had.